this part of the tutorial, I would like to highlight tasks, consequences and dangers of embarking on surveys. Implementing surveys typically starts with designing questionnaires and then goes into piloting, collecting data, data entry and analysis. This tutorial focuses on the issues of survey design and questionnaire development. Designing surveys is not a straightforward task that requires awareness and knowledge of multiple issues including questionnaire design, sampling, measurement and analysis of data. There is nothing fast about developing a good survey, but there are some shortcuts you can take to make the task easier and faster. Let's start with the first point, the theoretical development of survey. A good survey starts from having a strong literature review and a set of hypotheses which serve as the basis for the survey instrument and a starting point for questionnaire development. You may also have a theoretical model. What do I mean by a theoretical model? Here is an example of a model based on Bagozzi's study published in the Journal of Marketing in 1980. Bagozzi was interested in the determinants of salesperson performance and suggested that performance is a result of satisfaction, self-esteem, verbal intelligence, and that the satisfaction depends in turn on salesperson motivation. This is a relatively simple theoretical model involving just 5 theoretical concepts: motivation, satisfaction, performance, verbal intelligence and self-esteem. Such model can be easily accommodated in your master dissertation. Once you have a model, then you look for scales that measure its components, i.e. the theoretical concepts. Every concept, or using the language of measurement, construct within model has to be carefully defined to identify what is being measured and what questions may be asked to measure it. Typically, sets of questions are called marketing scales, and typically the scales are drawn from previous studies to ensure that they are valid and reliable. You never use your own questions. Instead, you look for existing scales. The example here shows a scale for satisfaction based on Bagozzi's model. The scale includes 4 items or questions that you would find in a questionnaire. Where do you find the questions? You look for marketing scales that can be found in handbooks, in our online resources in the library, and in published marketing articles. Sometimes the precise wording of scale might not fit your particular context and you may need to adapt the wording to fit your setting. You can also adjust the measurement or the length of scale. For example, change the response from 5 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to 7 point options. Or you can change the format of scale. For example, instead of using Likert type statements, strongly agree, strongly disagree, you may ask the respondents to rate the strength of their attitude. Aside of questions relating to theoretical concepts, your questionnaire will also include more tangible questions that can be more clearly or objectively measured. For example, the demographic details of your respondents, such as their age or how many products they buy, or their income, are all such more objective measures. We refer to them as quasi-facts because we are never sure whatever they are. Whatever you ask for, try to use very precise scale and very precise questions that really discriminate between respondents. Your task is to find a range of responses, and the questions you ask should enable you to show the difference between individual consumers. Numerically, the bigger the differences between the consumers, the better the analysis and your findings. This issue of precision and range of answers concerns the level of measurement. Levels of measurement range from nominal, where the numbers are just indicative of differences. For example, gender may be a nominal measure because the difference between males and females is not numerical. They are just 2 different types, 2 different categories. Other nominal scales might include nationality, level of education, or the type of product category, for example, lipsticks, makeup, fast sports cars. On the opposite end of spectrum, you will find ratio scales, which can be very precise. For example, your income can be measured from 0 to infinity, and 0 income means exactly that you are not having any. The type of scale you use influences directly the type of analysis you will be able to carry out. Whenever possible, try to use ratio or interval scales, because these scales enable the broadest range of analysis. For example, you could ask for age in terms of the date the respondent was born, or you might present them with intervals. If you use intervals like below 20, 20 to 30, 30 and above, the data you collect is ordinal, because somebody ticking 20 to 30 is younger than the person ticking the box above, but you cannot tell with precision how much older they are. Ordinal scales are more difficult to analyze. I would like to reiterate that designing and executing surveys is a science. Your best chance to succeed, given the limited time you have, is to use questions from existing research. There are 3 issues that will make or break your survey. The most important one is the type of question you ask, and I would urge you to read the literature, develop your hypothesis, and then think about concepts and their measurement. Remember that measurement concerns scales, and marketing scales assess items that measure abstract concepts. Whatever you do, you mustn't come up with your own questions. You have to use questions that have been published in previous studies and appeared in quality academic journals. Such questions may be found in the library in the published Compendia of marketing scales. The second issue is about collecting data and your decisions about how to collect data and where to collect it from. I would not like to close possibilities here, but your best bet seems a consumer survey that is carried out using online data collection. The method of data collection is directly related to the people you want to survey and the question of your sample and sampling. These issues will be dealt with in the next video.